This is Valley News Live at 10.
Thanks for joining us for Valley News Live at 10. I'm Justin Meddy. We begin tonight with an update on a story we told you about yesterday. A 22-year-old Fargo man recovering from a double lung transplant earlier this month. His family says the problem started with influenza, pneumonia, made much worse by his vaping. But check this out. This is Jackson Allard taking his first steps since the surgery. His grandma tells us, quote, "The nurses said he's a legend. No one has survived being on ECMO that long at the hospital," end quote. ECMO, by the way, is when you pump blood through an artificial lung to keep someone alive, but great progress here. Good to see. We also have an update on a Valley News Live whistleblower story this week. Lidgerwood city officials say they are now turning water back on for a family of 7 who had their water shut off Tuesday after a missed payment, even though the bills and fees had since been paid. City leaders originally told the family they'd have to wait until the next town council meeting on February 15th to get their water back on. The interim mayor says they've had so many people missing payments in their small town, they had to do something. They passed a resolution. It went into effect January 1st, increasing these the punishments for late payments, including that after so many, residents needed to appear before a council to find a solution. However, city leaders say changes need to be made to that policy because of cases like this, and that will be discussed during their next meeting. You can read up and watch both of these stories on your VNL News app. It's also a nice thing to have for breaking news right at your fingertips. You can download and use it for free. Just search VNL News in the App Store today. Taking a look outside, we are bracing for one more frigid morning, but there is good news after that. For details, let's send things over to First Alert Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Russ Thomas. Russ.
Yeah, Justin, it was last Thursday, 8 days ago, that we saw the Arctic air start pouring into our region and really hit us hard Friday through Monday. Things have improved just a little bit, but yes, one more frigid night and one more very chilly day before we start to see that jump that we've been talking about in temperatures. Current conditions 6 below in Fargo right now, 3 below in Grand Forks. Most areas seeing a clear to mostly clear sky. We've got 10 below Devils Lake. How about 15 below in Bemidji, 13 below in Detroit Lakes. You look at the wind chill, now some good news here. Winds are very light. In fact, some areas non-existent. In other words, you've got Fargo, our temperature with calm winds. So the wind chill index is the same as the actual air temperature. Jamestown, it feels like 5 below. Now, we do have a wind chill advisory in effect. James River Valley, Devils Lake Basin, areas west. That goes from 11 p.m. tonight, so about an hour from now, until noon tomorrow. Right now, winds are not kicking up that much in those areas, though, so that's good news. Satellite radar, not much happening right now across the area. In fact, you see mostly clear skies. We look at our Fargo plan. Our temperature is going to hang right around that 8, 9, 10 degree below zero reading tonight. But notice south winds. They're going to be light. They're going to pick up, though, tomorrow and Sunday, driving those temperatures up, and we'll have your complete forecast coming up.
All right, thanks, Russ. Tonight, 4 people have been arrested after what Fargo police say was a drug deal that led to a street racing crash. Police say Tuesday afternoon, a sergeant was on patrol, saw 2 vehicles speeding, chasing each other near 45th Street and 13th Avenue South. The vehicles wound up crashing. 4 people on your screen here were all arrested. Darren Manceau is charged with reckless endangerment. The other 3 for outstanding warrants or drug-related charges. Police say investigators learned this chase happened again because of a drug deal involving fentanyl pills. A Mapleton woman has pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor reckless endangerment charge in a case involving a golf cart crash that killed another woman back in July. Aaron Brosseau was originally charged with criminal vehicular homicide. Police say Ashley Tangadal was thrown from the golf cart she was driving and died a few days later. Under the plea deal, Brosseau will not have to serve any additional jail time. She will have 2 years of supervised probation and is ordered to pay more than $13,000 in restitution to the victim's family. For the first time tonight, we are getting an inside look at the new headquarters for the West Fargo Fire Department. The building just opened its doors on 10th Avenue nearly 2 months ago. Valley News Team's Gabriel Osler shows us how it's already improving safety, not just for the fire crews, but for you and your family.
Response time was a key consideration when constructing the new headquarters of the West Fargo Fire Department, and the fire chief says that the location is already paying dividends.
To see that we went from an average of 8 minutes to an average of 5 minutes for medical calls in this planning zone alone is really a huge deal.
Other members of the department agree.
That particular fire in the zone and the location, we were able to just literally go down the street, not very far, and get there as quickly as possible.
There's more space, too. Chief Fuller says by May, the station will have 6 full-time firefighters, and that number is only going to expand.
And then in 2025, we're going to try to go to either 8 or 9 people per shift.
Speaking of expansion, the building was constructed with a growing fire brigade in mind, so it should last for quite a while.
This building has been designed for 100 years of use.
The station is set up with special zones that help remove ash and other harmful substances after firefighters return from a call.
You can decontaminate from all of that and get cleaned up and scrubbed down.
There isn't a room in the building that only serves one single purpose. For example, storage units have manhole covers so firefighters can practice with them before they're faced with an emergency.
It amplifies the use of every inch of this building.
Perhaps the biggest benefit, though, is peace of mind.
This building is designed with the alerting system, with the amount of open space in it, letting outside light in, a lot of stuff to make sure that you don't feel stressed at work.
And with less stress for the fire brigade, residents of West Fargo will surely be sleeping better as well. In West Fargo, Gabriel Osler, Valley News Live.
New numbers in tonight show North Dakota set a record for most gas captured in just 1 month in November. Based on data from the Department of Mineral Resources, they say gas and oil production both rose in November. Industry leaders are also optimistic about 2024. Nationwide, U.S. crude oil production was on pace for its best year ever in 2023. We're still waiting for final numbers on that, though. North Dakota Attorney General Drew Wrigley has signed on with a petition asking U.S. Court of Appeals to declare a new EPA rule unlawful. The attorneys general who signed this petition say the EPA is overregulating, using the Clean Air Act to force states to submit their emission plans earlier than they should, and are less flexible on how the states get to meet those standards. 25 states, including both Dakotas and Montana, have joined this petition. The EPA says the new rules are cost-effective and beneficial to both the climate and people's health. Today, early in-person voting begins for Minnesota's presidential primary. To find your county's early voting location or apply to vote by mail, go to the Minnesota Secretary of State's website. Keep in mind, mail-in ballots don't count if they're not received by Election Day. Those who don't vote early can still vote at your polling place on the presidential primary day. You can pre-register through February 13th. Thousands of people brave the elements to take part in the March for Life in Washington today. It's billed as the world's largest pro-life or anti-abortion event. Senator John Hoeven was also there. He met with a group from North Dakota who was attending the event, including students from Shanley High School who were there. This past spring, Governor Doug Burgum signed House Bill 1254 into law. It restricts transgender affirming health care for minors. Now, a group is hoping a judge will at least temporarily block that bill while it plays out in court. Bella Kraft has details from Bismarck.
Attorneys fighting for and against legislation restricting health care for transgender adolescents were in court on Friday, debating whether the bill is constitutional in North Dakota. Dr. Luis Casas spoke about how House Bill 1254 has affected him as an endocrinologist who treats hormone-related problems. He says before he prescribes puberty blockers or other hormone treatments to transgender kids, there is a lengthy process. First, someone like a clinical psychologist diagnoses a patient with gender dysphoria. Then, patients come to him to seek medication. He says this bill has done more harm than good.
But now they're becoming everything that they believe they're not. And so that does create psychological harm to them.
Defense attorneys say the bill is actually protecting kids from making harmful and irreversible decisions to their bodies. They also say it was Dr. Casas' personal interpretation of the law that determined whether he would provide health care to transgender kids.
I can't take the risk. I can't take the risk of losing my license and not being able to practice. So I told them I was not going to do it.
So this was a decision made by you, based on your interpretation of the law?
Based on the interpretation of the law, I told them I would not practice in North Dakota.
Dr. Costa said parents or legal guardians are always involved in the process, and he doesn't prescribe hormone treatments for transgender kids who have not started puberty. He says since he's moved his practice to Minnesota, not all of his patients are able to travel to receive care. He told the court hormone treatments for transgender kids improve their mental health.
Are you aware of any research that suggests that adolescents who receive gender-affirming care are at lesser risk of self-harm or suicide?
There is.
The defense says oftentimes transgender kids are receiving separate mental health help and health care, and it can't be determined which one of those is the cause of mental health improvement. In Bismarck, I'm Bella Kraft reporting.
South Central District Judge Jackson Lofgren will now decide if that law will be blocked until it goes to trial. No date has been set for that decision. Well, our recent deep freeze is not good news for the life-saving drug naloxone, also known as Narcan. It's used to reverse the effects of an opioid overdose, but it can freeze, making it impossible to administer. Experts say Narcan starts freezing around 32 degrees because the majority of the solution is water. Once it gets down to 5 degrees, it freezes solid, making it impossible to administer.
To stick it in your armpit as close to your skin as you can and near some large blood vessels, either in your armpit or your groin.
Narcan can still work up to 28 days after freezing once it's thawed back out, but if it happens over and over, they say it does lose some effectiveness. Here at Valley News Live, we're excited to tell you about our VNL Cares campaign. We're partnering with local nonprofits to help them reach their goals. Our first partnership is with the Honor Flight of North Dakota and Minnesota. Our donation link is now live. You can donate and help get area veterans to Washington, D.C. to see the monuments built in their honor. All you have to do is click on the link on valleynewslive.com or your free VNL News app and help make a difference in these veterans' lives. We're also excited to share their stories with you in the weeks to come. Still ahead tonight, are highway signs getting a little too silly? The federal government thinks so. What does Minnesota think? We'll hear what their DOT is saying about it.
Our temperatures are cold out there for one more night. We'll see us drop down in Grand Forks to about 9 below, 10 below zero. But that warm up is coming. In fact, as we take a look at what is coming up, we'll talk about that warm up plus that frigid day, how cold it will be tonight and tomorrow across the area. We'll have the answer coming up.